The current state of the world is truly depressing. Nobody bats an eye as the modern world continues to degenerate into a sicker and sicker place day after day. The entire world has come to the conclusion that masculinity is an undesirable trait, and that we would be better off without it. It should come as no surprise that testosterone levels are currently at an all-time low, and I'm not just saying that. Research has been conducted in almost every decade that indicates a swift decline in testosterone levels among Western countries, and as a result, our birth rates, as well as the number of men marrying and dating, are at an all-time low as well. Given how crazy feminism is and how bad things are getting, this is not at all surprising. When the public media and thinkers in general are thinking these things, it has effects on the younger generation. The new generation of men can barely be called men. The degeneration started when modern society convinced itself that masculinity was bad. They went out and created terms like patriarchy. It's gotten so bad that feminists today blame most of the world's problems on men. When masculinity is removed from society on a slow but steady basis, it will become a thing of the past. The decline in testosterone levels can be attributed to a number of factors, all of which I will go over with you in this article. The most important factor is that our culture as a whole has brought about significant alterations in our way of life that are in direct conflict with our natures, and more specifically, with the hearts of men. It's not surprising that new generations have lower testosterone levels and hardly any masculine traits. In fact, young men are moving toward dressing femininely and taking on feminine traits, and they see no harm in doing that. Let's take a look at how young men lived their lives in the past. As soon as they entered their late teens or early 20s, boys became men in a ritualistic process. The modern schooling and job systems are completely against how men are supposed to live their lives. The boy was in charge of the house, and his opinion was important. He was also in charge of making sure there was food and keeping the peace with the neighbors. People relied on him. It was obvious that if he failed in his responsibilities, other people would pay the price for it. Nowadays, young men try to stay as far away from responsibility as possible when they enter their late teens. They are still naive students who know nothing about the world. They've just graduated from high school, where they've been protected from it. You can pick any average guy, and he's bound to be wasting his life playing games all day, like that's his routine. It's considered normal to waste hours upon hours gaming and earning fake credits and achievements. Young guys today enter a world where they have nothing to do, no responsibilities, and not much to care about. They have an entire host of entertainment sources around them that require zero effort. Young guys today are wasting their lives on poverty and gaming. We need something to work towards because the typical boy in today's society is constantly belittled by his instructors and embarrassed by the girls who are around him. The system doesn't understand that guys can't just sit around learning and doing nothing. We're supposed to be playing around and participating in physical activities instead. Since boys don't have that, they've replaced it with gaming. If you think about it, gaming has all the elements of a real-life adventure that men want. It also has the option of playing with. Whether it was helping out on the farm or carrying the house things around, tending to the animals or learning to fight, every young boy after a certain age was required to go out in the sun and engage in physical activity. It didn't matter if you were an able-bodied person or a peasant. You had to use your hands and get dirty. Let's not even begin with schools. How many young men in today's society are achieving the same level of success as they did in the past? Schools not only don't encourage kids to be active, but they actively try to stop them from doing so. Guys get barely one period to play around, and even then, the coaches are looking for talented players who can make it on the teams. The rest of the guys are left stumbling around, and there is a culture that shames healthy and athletic students collectively. Even though the college education system considers academics and non-physical factors for admitting students as a whole, your physical health does not matter to the system. This is so ironic, considering that everyone from the Greeks to Teddy Roosevelt focused on physical health and called it the key to a sharp mental brain. Not only is physical health good for you mentally, but it is also good for you physically. Boys are thrown a million tests and quizzes, so they'd rather. Research has shown that men who compete and come out on top have higher testosterone levels than other men. This is a clear sign that testosterone is not only dependent on physical attributes, but also on mental aspects. Also, sports teach guys manly skills like how to work with others, be patient, and follow rules. Men used to have these skills, but they aren't as common now because men are treated like kids and are more interested in writing about their jobs on the internet. If a man chooses not to waste his life on parties and instead wants to have a nice happy marriage, he is labeled as a misogynist and an old fart. Couple this with the fact that the modern world is a soft and infected place, where the foods we eat are bad for us, where the constant makeover and degeneracy that is thrown at us from all media sources hurt our brains, where the modern world forces us to waste our time on point. Male suicide is on the rise because guys don't know why they are hated for what they are. They want to know why the girls hate them when it's not their fault. They don't understand why they were born. They are expected to take everything and own it for their families and people without asking questions. They are expected to just keep their head down and shut up. And the worst part is that there aren't even any male mentors left because male mentors are pushed off of social media because they're hate. Science has demonstrated many times that society cannot continue without men. In fact, there was a show called Survivor that put a couple of men and women on separate islands with few resources and challenged them to survive in a few days. The men had a functioning society. They had pitched up a bar and shade for all of them, and some soft beds. Meanwhile, the women were fighting with each other and stealing all of the resources. It is unfortunate that the collapse of society is on the horizon because it cannot continue without strong, responsible men. Society will continue to decline until it reaches a mega-economic collapse that brings things back to normal, or it will be reduced to a shell of what it really was. Either way, the decline of masculinity is bad news, and either outcome is a result of the decline of masculinity in society. That wraps up my work for the day. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this story and the lesson it attempted to teach you. I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and let me know in the comment section below that you have done so.